Just invite yourself on the video. Hey guys, so I'm really excited to be live with you today. I have a very special guest, Monica. Hey Monica, just invite yourself on the video. I'm super excited because I heard Monica speak a few weeks ago on the Autoimmune Sisters webinar, and she just set my soul on fire. She is fantastic, and I'm bringing her in right now, and we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of mental health and mindset. She should be popping in any second. There you are.
Hey girl, hey, you're so cute for your little intro. Oh my God, you set my soul on fire. You're so
Yeah.
nice. How are you, girl?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
You're crooked.
I am? Oh, shoot. I was prepared for this. So there's crooked. I don't quite have the nice, what is it, the iPhone set up the way you do. So I literally got cups to hold my iPhone. So.
Well, you got to get creative.
I know, right? And here. There we go. I am.
There you are.
Perfect.
Yes, there you are, gorgeous. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm
Good to
well.
hear.
I'm happy to have you on my Instagram live because, like I said in the beginning, when I heard you speak, you did set my soul on fire. Your passion and your heart and your words and just the raw emotion that you just portrayed and you spit out of your body. I mean, I felt it. I felt it so deep. And I want everybody to hear that. I want everybody to feel what I felt, especially right now, especially today. But before we even go there, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
You're so cute. Well, thank you for all your kind words. I honestly feel the same way about you. You're absolutely amazing. So my name's Monica. I'm living in Alberta, Canada. So just to put in perspective for anybody who's watching in the States, we're just above the state of Montana, basically. So wherever that is for you, we're more, I think, is it West Coast? I think it's more West Coast, more it's California and things too. So I'm 25 years old. I know Maria from the Autoimmune Sisters page. You don't necessarily have to have an autoimmune disorder to be a part of Autoimmune Sisters, but I do. I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia officially, I would say about 2 years ago. And it's been a struggle with my health, girl, and with my mental health, which is why I talked about what I talked about in the webinar. And I'm just so passionate about people knowing themselves and knowing who they are, regardless of the situations that they're in, because I feel like knowing your identity and your worth is the one fuel, as we'll talk more about mindset coming up too, that will get you through the things that you're facing. So yeah, that's me.
So how long ago did your symptoms start?
Well, to be honest, Maria, I've had little symptoms of it almost my entire life, but nothing full blown. Like I was always the chubby, inflexible kid. I would always be kind of more tired easily. And I know that I didn't have the best diet and things. So I've gained a lot of weight, lost a lot of weight. I've been in between anywhere from 100 to 160 pounds like my entire life. So my heaviest was 164. I stepped on the scale today. I am 154. So I'm 10 pounds down, which is great. Despite gaining about 30 pounds after fibro. And yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I answered your question fully, but what was your question again?
You did actually. You started and then you kind of like derailed a little bit, but I think it's all the same. It's all the same. So when your symptoms started, which you said you've had them on and off your whole life, and then up until you've gotten diagnosed, when did the mental health symptoms really start for you? Was it pre or post diagnosis?
Pre. And it's funny, I'm like, I trailed off exactly at the point you needed me to, so that's hilarious. But they came up pre-diagnosis officially. So I don't think we honestly know what we have in our health until we lose it. And maybe you feel the same way similarly too. But for me, I experienced a lot of really deep, heartbreaking stressors and grief after grief after grief, loss after loss after loss in a very short period of time. And they weren't like minor things. They were pretty significant, life-altering, major things. And when those things came to me and they were so sudden, I was in denial. You know, the stages of grief and things as well too. So a big part was denial. I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. I'm not dealing with this. This is not my life. This is not the way I want it to be. And even being is what people call the prime in your life, to your early 20s, and now I'm 25, so mid 20s, I kind of suppressed what was going on. And I didn't have a lot of self-confidence before. I didn't, people say they like my hair and my eyebrows, so thank you. But I didn't have a lot of self-worth about like how I liked the way I looked, my personality and who I was. And that on top of the significant things I experienced just dug me way deep into some big grief and losses and traumas. And then eventually my heart symptoms, my, not like your cardiac heart, but like your broken heart symptoms, and my emotional symptoms became my bodily sensations. I remember I was at work just right after I had gotten diagnosed, and I was having a conversation with a coworker that wasn't the nicest, and it was about some project, and I was supposed to be in charge, but she was kind of sticking her foot in. And then all of a sudden I felt this horrible pain, and I was just like, man, I'm just so annoyed with this woman. And I was holding a pen and writing down my notes, and I had to drop the pen. My hand started hurting so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how much these things are connected. And because I ignored it for years, I didn't realize the connection it had until I saw the connection in myself.
So you basically, your physical, your emotional symptoms at that point were manifesting into making your physical symptoms even worse.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would say I basically didn't have any physical symptoms until I experienced those things. And a lot of it
Okay.
had to do, and we'll talk more about it, with mindset as well too, but a big part of it was my mindset. So the things that I was dealing with, they were out of my control. They were in the hands of other people. And you know, you can't control other people, but I didn't control my response when I knew I should have controlled my response, you know?
Right.
That
Right.
was a big part of it as well. Yeah.
So when did you, during all of this time, and you're still so young. See, this is one of the things that I absolutely love and admire and appreciate about you. You're
Oh, thank you.
so young. I really do, because you're so young, and your knowledge of mindset and self-worth is so amazing at this point, because I didn't have that until my late 30s.
Mhm.
And so that just blows me away. And I love that so much. And this is another reason I wanted to have you on here, so everybody can understand that this is one of the most important things in your life. It's your mindset. It's how you see yourself. It's how you see
Mhm.
the world. So when did you actually start recognizing that you had an issue with your mindset and then start working on it?
Well, it's actually really funny because and I'm going to talk about my own faith journey as well too, because I know that that can play into your mindset. Studies have
It
shown,
does.
yeah, and multiple studies have shown that whether or not you have a set religious belief, but even if you have that aspect of there's a higher power that will take care of me and love me unconditionally, that seems to just open the door to more positive thinking and to more positive things happening in your life. So for me, it was definitely a faith journey. So what happened to me after grief, loss after loss, all this other stuff, I hit rock bottom. Like I lost things that I'm like, oh my God. And it's funny, I think I'll send you a picture later, but I was showing my mom the other day, and it was a side by side. It was a picture of me at 23 with so much uncolored concealer, unblended concealer under my eyes, and then me at 25, and I looked like I had like wrinkles had wrinkles on my eyes. It was crazy. But for me, what I found that really helped me through understanding that mindset journey specifically was my faith. Because when I lost everything, like, and I mean, another time we'll go into detail about it, but when I lost everything, I feel like God specifically put in my heart, what are you doing? Like, I made you a powerful woman. I made you my daughter. I made you a queen. Like, you have a lot of authority in this. You shouldn't let people treat you this way. You shouldn't treat yourself a certain way. Have you heard of vegetables, girl? Vegetables are pretty good for you. Maybe you should go down the Starbucks and have, like, for real though. And I was thinking, yes, it wasn't so much that I should be fighting against people for my self-worth. It's that I love myself so much and I'm so valuable that I don't deserve this. Why should I have to punish myself with people who are going to drive me insane? I mean, like, you just go away. I don't need you in my life. Or why should I have to punish myself to stuff my feelings? And I love chocolate for real, but like, stuff myself with so much chocolate and so much gluten and so many things that hurt me just to stuff down my feelings. When I'm a powerful woman, I can deal with my feelings because I don't have to feel this way. So for me, in an odd way, it was hitting rock bottom, but I believe God did have a hand to play in that, because when you hit rock bottom, especially the way I did, you don't get out. Like, I was convinced, and I told my mom and a few other people that are just very close to me that I'm like, if it wasn't for God, y'all would have been attending my funeral about a year and a half ago. Like, for real, honestly. And I mean, like, I've struggled with mental health. I've even struggled with suicide. I'm going to just be straight up honest. I've attempted suicide. Obviously, that didn't work because I'm sitting here doing a live with beautiful Maria. But mindset makes a huge difference. And my faith journey is honestly what saved me more than anything else. Yeah.
And did you feel, well, first of all, that is something really personal and really brave for you to share. I didn't know that. So I'm feeling a little bit in my emotion right now too, because
Sorry.
anytime I hear anything like that, that breaks my heart. That really breaks my heart, because as you're saying now, which is a different mindset than you had then, you are precious and you are worthy and you are loved. When you said that it was like God, just said something to you, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Was it just like an immediate switch that flipped, or was it you felt his presence, you felt something you needed to change, and then you gradually changed?
It's funny. I was actually just having this conversation before we started our webinar with another person as well too. And I find that when you're dealing with mental health struggles, there are two things to it. It has a grip on you and you have a grip on it. And a lot of times people like to give this nonsense type of advice like, oh, did you eat your vegetables? Have you been doing exercise? Have you making sure that you're seeing your therapist? Why don't you just let it go? Stop being sad. The truth is, you can't let it go sometimes. Sometimes the things that you're dealing with have a hold on you. And a part of you is also holding on to them. So for me, what the switch was in prayer and just in grace by Jesus, I will say, is that a lot of things out of my control, unfortunately, and the more I look at it, and still some things I'm struggling through, have a hold on me. But what I realized that God showed me is I'm releasing its hold on you. Will you now let go of the hold that you have on it? So this is where mindset comes in, is that
Yes.
my circumstances have a hold on me. If I'm broke and I'm applying for a bunch of jobs, that's my circumstance. It has a hold on me. If you're having relationship troubles, and in some ways, if they say in relationships, it's even if it's 99% the other person's fault, you contribute 1%. Even if, let's just say, the other person does the 99, you focus on your 99% is still holding you. So even in that, there is a mindset that's holding on to you, but what are you doing to let go of that as well too? And that doesn't mean ending a relationship necessarily. What it does mean is working through whether it has a hold on you, what you can do to ask the Lord, in my personal opinion, to have that let go of on you. But then what can you do to let it go? Okay, fine. They called you ugly. They called you stupid. It's not true now. I mean, I was told all my life, every stage, and I mean, in Canada and Alberta, the province I'm living, it's different. It's that we have kindergarten to grade 6, which is your elementary, then 7 to 9, which is your junior high, then 10 to 12, which is high school. And I remember at every single stage, I had teachers and even psychologists say, hey, literally words, your daughter is too stupid to go on to the next section of the grades. And these are professionals saying, but it wasn't them. It was a lot of my own self-conscious issues. And on top of it, my teachers were jerks. I had one teacher make fun of me when I was writing a math question. And then she said something like, can you write any faster? And everyone started laughing. So I went nonverbal for a little bit in elementary. So they're like, oh yeah, she probably has autism or something. I'm like, I don't have autism. I just don't like you. So that was a whole other thing. But mindset in that as well too is, despite those struggles, those are the labels you put a hold on me, but I'm not going to claim onto that. Actually, I finished, like they said I wouldn't make it to any elementary, junior high, high school. I'd have to be in a special school, but joke's on them. I finished my bachelor's degree, and this is things I like to say low key on, but I'm currently in the process of upgrading some of my grades. I'm applying for my master's degree. So who do you think you are?
Yes.
So So I don't know if I'm going to get in. We'll see. But like, who are you to say that what you're holding on to me, I have to also hold on to me? Nah, you can put it on me,
Right.
but I'm holding on to it. Like, no point.
And this is a story that we hear so often about so many of the most brilliant, amazing game changers of our time, like, you know, Michael
Exactly.
Jordan and
Mhm.
J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, and
Exactly.
so many other, you know, amazing people. We hear the same story all the time, how growing up they were told that they weren't good enough or smart enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And moving past all of that, they kept going, and eventually look what happened. You know,
Yeah,
brilliance
exactly.
was born.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
for you to learn all of this at such a young age, I think is fantastic. You know, with your mindset work, is it mainly prayer or do you do other things?
So mindset work is not just prayer. I feel like God, and I'll give you a story example too, and you've probably heard this story. It was a story specifically about a man, and there was a huge flood, and he is climbed on top of his roof, and he is praying, Jesus, help me. And then a boat comes, and he ignores the boat, and he said, no, Jesus, help me. And then another boat comes, an even bigger and prettier boat, and eventually he ignores the boat. He dies. He goes up to heaven. He's like, Jesus, why didn't you send me help? He said, I did send you help. I sent you two boats, one better than the other, but you thought that it had to be something so huge. So it's about the prayer. It's about the relationship I have with God, but it's also about the practical things that I do in my everyday life. So am I eating properly? I know it sounds so cliche. Am I sleeping properly? Right now, I'm on a protocol, and I don't know if it's going to work. Just pray for me, and we'll see how it goes. Some people reverse autoimmune, some people don't. But I'm on a current autoimmune protocol that's basically a raw vegan protocol, and all you eat is raw vegetables, and I feel amazing. And even with some of the things that I am now recovering from psychologically, I find that those vegetables, oh girl, they make a difference. But I didn't need to have prayer. I could be like, Lord, send me things to help me. And he's like, have you considered the supermarket? And I'm not talking about Cheetos. I'm talking about some broccoli right now. So
You're so cute. You're so cute.
so it's that practical stuff. Am I sleeping enough? Am I exercising enough? Am I making sure that I know myself? Because it's easy to say, well, all these people are hurting me. It's like, okay, what's your mindset though? Do you have a mentality that people are always out to get you? Because then
Right.
even sneeze will offend you. At the same time though, if you're like, I have to be everyone's doormat because I have to please everybody, that's a whole other thing too. So for me, in my mindset, and what helps me to have that healthy mindset, it is prayer, because I believe that God's word is number one in showing you what you need to do in your life. But it's also my vegetables. It's also my relationship, and it's also knowing myself, because that's the main thing
Right.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, so I'm 41. I just turned 41. And it wasn't until my 30s that I really started diving into mindset, a healthy mind, healthy thinking, positive thinking.
Yes.
And it changed not only my life,
Mm-hmm.
it changed the way I am in my relationship, in my marriage. It
Wow.
changed the way I am with my kids. It changed the way I run my business. Because prior to that, I was always searching for external circumstances to bring me joy and to
Yeah.
bring me happiness, right?
Yeah.
And so something that I have been living by for years now is that we are the only people that can choose our own happiness. Like we have to choose to be
Absolutely.
happy. We have
Yeah.
to choose to feel joy. And we have to do that for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas let's say the first 5, 10 years of my marriage, because I'm married 15 years. So the first 5 years or so of my marriage, I was always looking to my husband to make me happy. Like, you have to do this to make me happy. And after working on mindset and learning what I learned, you know, I look back and I say, how dare I put that burden on another human being? It
Mm-hmm.
really is up to me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that really significantly changed my
Yeah.
life. And I'm also very faith filled. I pray, you know, I pray daily. I speak to God a lot. I have a great relationship with God. I
That's
do
good.
journaling, you know, I
Yeah.
definitely do journaling. I meditate. I can only do about 5 to 15 minutes, but that's more than enough for me. You know, some people can meditate for hours. I can't.
Not a
And
competition, girl. You do what you need to
no,
do. That's awesome. Yeah. That's
right?
awesome. So
Because we're
proud of you.
all individual. We're all individual. But you being so young and having, you know, the world is your oyster, you have everything in front of you, and being able to know all of these things now gives you such a great edge for your life, you know. So I really love that. I love that's what is going on. But I did want to ask you, you said that you
Yeah.
were doing an autoimmune protocol.
Yeah.
So is this from a doctor? Is this something you've read about? Is this strictly for fibro?
Yeah, actually, it's for anything and everything. They even actually mentioned celiac disease. And Maria, the first person I thought of, I'm like, who's someone I adore who has celiac disease? I'm like, Maria, obviously, like number one
Okay.
on my list for that. So it's a program. It's done by someone named Dr. Brooke Goldner, and she has firsthand experience in this. And because she had lupus since she was 16 years old. So for a long, long time, she had lupus. And I'll just fast track the story because I don't want to make this like little chat way too long. But she had lupus when she was 16, and she decided, I want to go to medical school to help other people. And she had this attitude of gratefulness, something that you've talked about quite a bit as well, and just attitude of gratitude, basically.
Yeah.
Her grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, so she knew that every day was precious, and she lived in that way. So she's like, I'm going to go to medical school, and I'm going to help patients from a patient perspective because I'm a patient. So in medical school, she met this guy she absolutely fell head over heels in love with, and they were just happy. So not only is it being grateful, but it's being happy. So for me, I mean, you don't have to run up a bunch of credit card debt, but girl, if you want the cookie, you want the shoes, buy the shoes. Being happy makes a difference in your mindset, and treating yourself does good too. Anyway, so she met the love of her life. She was super happy, and he was a celebrity fitness trainer for specifically celebrities. You know, I don't know, Hugh Jackman needs to get a six pack in 3 weeks. So he will give them a diet, certain exercises to help them. And he said, I love you. I want to spend my life with you. She's like, I have lupus. I will die very young. He said, I'd rather have a short life with you than a long life with anyone else. So they got married, and she said, I want to look really good for my wedding day. So she was already a vegetarian to begin with. She called herself a cheeseitarian. So she'd have a lot of cheese, a lot of eggs, and just not meat, but like anything processed in between. So he gave her a diet to lose some weight, and he modified it to be high raw foods. She didn't eat meat, so he's like, just do the vegetables. And she has to do labs. Like we have to do labs as well. I go to my rheumatologist at least every 3 months, if not earlier than that. And then he checked her labs, and he's like, you have no lupus. And she said, what are you talking about? I have had lupus since I was 16 years old. Like, how can you say I don't have lupus? Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, no, you don't have it. He said a bit of high cholesterol, but like no lupus. He's like, I might have mixed up your labs. Anyways, another 3 months, cholesterol was normal, no sign of lupus. Anyway, she's like, what did I do differently? She said, I added healthy foods to my diet, and I was super, super happy. And her book, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, After Goodbye Lupus, actually has healed many people who have different autoimmune disorders, Sjogren's, celiac, lupus, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, even some people who have had precancer cells, cervical cancer as well too. So I feel awesome. And I have only been doing it. I'll be honest, I've cheated a bit. You're not supposed to have meats. I have a bit of meat. I cut out the oils, and I'm all vegetables and things most of the time, but I feel amazing. So that's
Well,
the protocol. It's awesome.
that I'm going to get that book because I'd like to read that.
I can send you a picture and things too later as well if you'd like.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much research that goes into autoimmune disease, any disease actually,
Yeah.
and what we're eating.
Yes.
And, you know, a lot of times we think that we're eating really well when, you know, it turns out that the ingredients are not so great in what we're eating. And it can be really tricky. It can be really tricky because I feel like the labels try and trick us when
They do.
we, you know,
Yeah.
right? We see something
Yeah.
labeled as all natural. And then I'm an ingredient reader. You know, I am an expert ingredient reader. I have to be because of my disease, because of my son's allergies. So it'll say all natural, and you turn it around and you look at the ingredients, you're like, there's no way, this is not all natural.
Yeah.
So they try and trick us. So there's so much to be said about what we're eating.
Yeah.
And, you know, so much to be said about eating for your brain health as well.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. Some foods actually cause you brain fog. And I was going to ask you, with fibro, we're known for a couple of things. We're known, number one, for pain. Number two, we're known for digestive issues as well and sleep disturbances. But number three, the biggest one is brain fog. Do you struggle with brain fog with celiac disease as well?
Yes. So
Wow.
that was,
Okay.
yeah. So that was one of my biggest symptoms, you know, when this was all going down in 2009.
Yes.
Most of my symptoms were neurological, like the
Wow.
majority bulk. So brain
Yes.
fog, headaches, dizziness.
Yes.
I was hallucinating. I had tingling and numbness.
No. Yes.
And then I did have stomach issues, you know,
Yes.
but most of it was neurological. And what had happened was, once I figured out about the celiac, and then I found out that I had Lyme disease as well.
Oh my
Lyme
goodness.
disease
Wow.
also was neurological for me.
Wow.
So the brain fog was like taking over my existence until I you know, I got it under control. It took about 18 months of me healing.
Wow.
Now, I still get the brain fog right around my menstrual cycle.
Really?
So yes.
Yeah.
So the whole month, as long as I'm safe and I'm not glutened and I'm not having any kind of flare up, which thankfully I've been doing very well.
Yes.
I'm fine. No brain fog, nothing. But right around my menstrual cycle, it's like 3 days within the time that it comes, I know, like, I'm having brain fog, I'm having memory issues, I'm moody, I'm having pain, I'm having headaches. And, you know, throughout the years, there's not much that I can do that actually subsides that.
May I give you a suggestion? If
Yes.
it's okay? Yeah. So yeah, yes, girl, yes.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna go on, because some people, and I mean, whether you're eating meat or not, some people become a vegan for different reasons, and I'm debating whether or not to just make this my permanent lifestyle. But I have suffered from very painful menstrual periods my entire life. I thought I had endometriosis. I never got tested for it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But after I got diagnosed with fibro and I was on birth control for a little bit, birth control is supposed to help. Small percentage of the population has more pain. Ta-da! I'm the small percentage of the population. So already painful, birth control didn't help, and fibro didn't help as well too. My periods were so painful. But oversharing here, so men, you can put your fingers in your ears or tell your ladies this if you're listening and you're a man. But I got my period, and I think I just finished it like 2-3 days ago. I'm telling you, I'm not even doing this Dr. Goldner's protocol very strictly. I didn't even notice that I got my period. Straight up. And I get brain fog as well too, and I'm upgrading, so I'm a student right now as well, then applying for the master's degree as well. And when I type, none of it makes sense. I will write an essay in my head, and then I look and I'm like, I just look like I smashed my fist onto a keyboard. And my brain fog is going away too. So maybe around that time, if you want to try more vegetables, green smoothies, I'll send you some recipes too with that. Give it a try. And you don't have to cut out meat, don't cut out anything, but how much of a difference it makes is unbelievable. So
well,
give that a try.
It's funny you say that, because back in 2019, I did like 6 months of no meat. And I've never done that before. This was the first time I've ever actually given up meat. And I never felt better than I had in those 6 months.
Incredible. And
since those 6 months, I cannot eat chicken for some reason. Like, I started eating chicken again, and every time I eat chicken, it does not agree.
It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. You know, and I have minimal meat now. I do have minimal meat now. I eat more meat in the summer because we grill.
Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense. And I don't even need to eat meat. It's not even.
Yeah.
I don't need to eat it.
You're so cute. I don't need to eat it. It's fine.
I don't even need it.
Yeah, that's true.
But back to mindset, because that's what we're trying to, you know, really get to. But it's so important. It's so important for us to be aware of the thoughts that we're thinking.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I was thinking about this today. Yeah. We are in a time right now in 2020 where we have had a rough 6 months as a human race, right? As humanity.
Yeah.
So many things have been going on between floods and fires and deaths and viruses, illnesses. You know, the economy in my country has crashed. I don't know about yours too. Yeah. I mean, it's been such a challenging year. And, some people who are normally very positive might have a hard time, staying positive. I know that, I have 2 boys and they've been home from school now for about 11 weeks. And for the most part, I keep myself on the up and up, and I'm constantly drilling into them positivity. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. But
Mm-hmm.
some days I have my days where I'm like, my heart is breaking for them. They need to go
Yeah,
back to school. My heart is breaking for everything that's going on in the world right now, all the violence, all the unnecessary things that are happening.
absolutely. Yeah.
So it can be difficult to stay positive and to maintain, that mental stability when you have all of these things just punching you in the face, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
So how
Totally.
do you deal with things like that?
How do I deal with things that, first of all, when you were saying that, I'm too soft, and like I feel like I've had some things that could make my heart go callous, but thanks be to God, my heart just feels softer. So when you were saying your heart was breaking, I'm like, "Aw, you can send them to Auntie Monica. I'll make a gluten-free cake for you guys. We'll do something fun. Just take your break." But what I do in those moments where and this is going to sound really corny, but like I can give a practical step of what this looks like, is when I have my moments, and I had moments like this last years, unfortunately, just because of some circumstances. I count my blessings, and God has made it so that I have at least one blessing that will get me through. And I stake not all my identity and hope in it, but I invest my happiness, if my big circumstances can't change, in that. So the last few years, it's been jobs. So I worked as a college instructor. It was an amazing gig, like my first year out of university. And I told some people, like, how the hell did you do that? I'm like, I'm an engaging speaker, because if I don't say anything and it doesn't make any sense, you'll still be watching. So anyways, or listening, whatever it is. So it was a great gig. And I know that, like, at that time, I was dealing with some stuff as well, too, personally, that was just, my health was wearing. Basically, the biggest thing in that is my health was wearing, and I didn't even realize it. And I'm like, kind of like what you shared in your story a few weeks ago when I met you, as we were getting ready for the May webinar series. You're like, I felt something was wrong and I couldn't pinpoint what. I was at that space. But for me, what got me through is my little blessings. So it was actually a huge blessing working with some of the students that had been through a lot of things. The college that I was teaching at was a small college, like very tiny, but a lot of the population were new immigrants to Canada, and they had left their degrees back home, and instead of working minimum wage jobs, they were looking for little certificates, not degrees, but diplomas and things, to get them a higher paying job. So I was teaching a kind of like a social work psychology diploma for them as well. And it was awesome to see how some of the people who had experienced dead on some of the health troubles, relationship troubles that I was experiencing, I could walk through with them. And they're like, how do you know what I'm going through? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm walking through the same thing you are. And that's that. On a smaller scale, when I've got days where things are just hard, I don't have the big things, like everything's closed with the pandemic. I'm currently laid off as well too. That's why I'm a student right now. I do little things. I love painting. I love yoga. And I kind of invest myself in that. And I really act mindful even in the poses I do, in the brush strokes I do. And it's not like I take 10 hours to do one brush stroke with painting, or 10 hours to like slowly bake a cake like this, but I really throw myself into what I'm doing, the little things that make me happy. So that's what gets me through, because I know this too shall pass. And in my
Yes.
life, there's been a lot of downs, a lot, but there's been a lot of ups. So that too will pass. So that's what I do
Yes.
in the meantime. What about you? What are some things you do that help you get through?
So I love to write. So I
Yeah.
write a ton. I have been working out a ton during this pandemic. I mean, I started working out in my 30s, but I train people. So usually I always just do a quick workout for myself, and then I train other people with their workout. During this pandemic, I've been focusing more on my workouts, so they've been lasting longer. And plus, I always feel great after I exercise anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I do. I definitely pray. I pray a lot.
Yeah, helps.
I do meditate a lot, but I have also been doing projects at home.
Ooh,
So, like, you have been throwing yourself into little things here and there. I've been doing the same. I've been doing some home projects, some
nice.
painting, redoing the porch area, hanging out with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that when there's a lot of stress and a lot of bad things going on, that distraction can be a blessing. And
I think
so,
so.
yeah, I totally believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been very helpful for me. Um, and you know, something I always remember and I always refer back to in my own mind, which I say a lot of the times when I'm talking to a group of people about something like this, is we have all been through the absolute worst time of our life at some point or another.
That's
So
very
for
true.
right? So for
Yes.
me, that was, you know, when I was sick and they didn't know what was wrong with me, and I was struggling, and you know, I felt as if I was not going to make it. That was the worst, rock bottom, the worst thing that I've ever been through in my life, and I survived that.
Yes.
And so I always think of that. We have all been through something so
Hmm.
terrible and so traumatic that we did not think we would make it out of, but we did.
Yes,
We
exactly.
survived. And so if we can make it through that one terrible thing, we can make it through anything.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
that just keeps me on the straight and narrow. It really does.
Yeah, and I love what you said because it's funny. I heard a study. Basically, it's a woman. Her name is Dr. Caroline Leaf. Maybe you've heard of her. She's on Instagram. There's a lot I got to send you, the smoothie, the stuff. Just send me a message afterwards. But I will send you a link to her profile. But she is a neuroscientist. So there's psychologists, there's psychiatrists. She is a psychologist as well, I believe, but she's a neuroscientist. So she actually studies the science of the brain and how to build positive connections in your life and in your brain structure. And she actually says that if you want to build some of those positive structures in your brain, you don't pretend that everything is okay. Because if you're like, oh yeah, my life is going to crap, I'm going through a divorce, or I'm going through like job loss, I'm going through a death of a loved one, and then you're like, yeah, it's fine, just cover your eyes. Your brain is going to say, no, BS, this is not true, and
Right.
just further into depression, because depression is just anger unexpressed. Depression is just your longing of love not being shown, basically, if you think about it in lots of other ways. We can talk about that later, though. But she does a brain study where if you want to have that positive mindset and actually have more of a positive mind and get rid of some of this anxiety and depression, she starts with your mindset. So it is thinking about some of the worst things that you have gone through and seeing, hey, if I've survived that before, I can definitely survive this now, and I can
Yeah.
be the person I'm meant to be. So, girl, you can write a sermon, write another book, honestly, and send
I'm
me your
trying.
autograph. You are? That's awesome.
I'm
I love it.
trying. I am trying.
Oh,
I'll
I
tell
love
you, it's
it.
not easy.
No, no, I can imagine. I started a book in my emo teenage years, and I'm like, I'm gonna write about this, and then I haven't picked it up since. So
It's
maybe I will start too. But I get it, man. It can be
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. But
Yeah.
I believe that too. I believe that, you know, we recognize that we've been through something traumatic. We recognize that we got through it. We survived it. We appreciate that, and we move along. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, we have to always look forward. We have to always
Mhm.
look forward. Be in the moment and look forward.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
we don't realize specifically, and I found this fascinating because my degree is in psychology, and I hope to kind of further my education, become a counselor, become a psychologist, all that good stuff. But what we don't realize is trauma and grief has a way of making us feel stuck. Like, not stuck, it sucks, but you feel stuck.
Yes.
I mean, have you ever seen a timer where there is the hour, the minute, and the like millisecond, and how quickly it's
Yes.
going? Truthfully, when something happens to you, it breaks your heart, so you know that moment and you stop, but the time is still passing as quickly as that minute and seconds time is going, and we
Yes.
don't realize that, and our life is passing us by. And that's not a reason to be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and never feel pain, but it may be a good eye-opener to be like, what am I doing? Because what changed my life is, what am I doing? Like, I have gone from some things that I've experienced in my early 20s to headed towards my late 20s. This year I'm going to be 26, and I'm like, 6 years have passed, but I can remember those things like they happened yesterday. And I'm like,
Right.
I need to honor that happened. I need to forgive other people. I need to forgive myself. I need to know my worth and move on from there. That's the main thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Time is our most precious commodity, and we
absolutely.
sometimes we just waste it away. Just
Absolutely.
we just waste it away.
Yeah, and
Well,
we shouldn't, because
no.
every moment is precious. I mean, I found that now, and it's going to sound so corny, but I found that even now that my mindset is changing and I'm grieving what I need to grieve and healing from what I need to heal, is that everything is fun for me. Like my drive to work is fun because I've got my same stupid 10 songs that I listen to. They're mostly Zumba music because I like it. And I listen to those same damn songs, 10 songs every day. And I'm like dancing as I'm driving, and whoever sees me is like, she's losing her mind. Like whoever it is, I'm going to call the cops, distracted driving. But I'm enjoying my life. And that's just a simple drive to work. But if you are counting those blessings and you're healing, and not only that, knowing your identity and your worth, because it's so easy to say, okay, fine, we can let go of the past, we can forgive, but if I don't love me, which sounds so corny, but it is so true, this has been like my life foundation now. If I don't love me, if I don't see me, if I don't support me, no one else can. And even your spouse can. And you said you're married, I'm married too, and he's a very kind and nice man, but if I put that pressure on him, it will destroy our relationship, really. So we can't do that. We have to give to what we need to ourselves first, then we can give to others freely afterwards.
100%.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that on every level.
Yeah. You're so cute, girl. Oh my
God. I am really happy that you came and you joined me on my Instagram live. We've been doing it for like 35 minutes. So
it's been fun. I can feel it. Wow.
Right? I know.
Yeah, exactly.
But we should do it again.
I'd love that. Do you know how to save this video? Because like I enjoy this.
I'm gonna hit end, and hopefully when I hit end, you'll